from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii, and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept a common purse and used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The great crowd of the Jews learned that he was there. They came not only because of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests planned to put Lazarus to death as well, since it was on account of him that many of the Jews were deserting and were believing in Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord.
It's interesting, if you read some of the headlines about the election of Pope Francis, one of the things that is being said is that he's got a big job ahead of him. Certainly to win back Catholics who've lapsed and to address some of the needs of the modern age. But one of the things they always mention is he's got to clean up the Vatican. Clean up. Because, of course, there's been some corruption or stuff like that. Who knows? It's interesting to see the same stuff going on in Jesus' own circle. One of the 12 felt a common purse and used to help himself from it because he was a thief. Corruption, even in the time of Jesus. Imagine that. Imagine things like that happening in the church. Well, there should be no surprise because they're not all perfect saints. We're so unbelievably human, aren't we? And we let that humanity get in the way of our relationship with God all the time. I was talking to somebody just a few days ago, and he was complaining about how there had been some bickering in his charismatic prayer group. And rather facetiously I said, "Not in the charismatic prayer group. That must never happen." Yes, it happens in the prayer group. It happens in the convent. It happens in the rectory. It happens in the Vatican. But we don't let ourselves get discouraged by this kind of stuff. We don't think it's all gone down the toilet. Because the Holy Spirit of God has never left His church. Yes, Judas was a thief. Judas betrayed. The other 11 died for Christ. Yes, problems just surfaced over 2,000 years of human history in our own church. That does not mean that the church is bad. And if only the papers would focus on all the good, the incredible amount of good that still goes on day after day, night after night. You do not allow a few bad eggs to spoil the basket. We work day after day, of course, to purify ourselves individually and as a community. But we know that God never forgets or abandons His church. And even if we have some terrible problems to deal with, and that the newspapers like to focus only on that, we know that the good far, far surpasses the bad.